So the last part of the AMT suit are the gloves. I think these are another very interesting option that Alpinestars has done. I think like the pants, there's some areas I wish they'd done a little bit better on, but let's get into it. So these are a two-parter. You have a waterproof layer that slips on over top that we'll get to a little later, and then you have the main mesh hot weather glove. These are much like the rest of the suit, aimed at adventurers. So they're made for, on and off-road adventure touring. All right, the super low-profile cuff is a little hard to get on. All right, so let's walk through the exterior materials really quick. Actually, let's start with sizing. So this is a large. I usually wear a large in Alpinestars, wore a large in the Halo. I wear a 9 in Held. A large in most brands. American brands, I find a large a little bit big. I have like slim fingers. So it depends on the cut, but that's major proportions. And for me, this is one of the best fitting gloves I've ever worn. The fingers are perfect. The overall comfort is excellent. I've put hundreds of miles on this in the heat. They've been great for a fit perspective. The biggest thing that helps there for me is I find I get a lot of binding in the thumb area. I have a fairly meaty palm. And they've used a significant amount of their ride knit as the thumb area. And that gives you both a lot of dexterity, and also it expands very nicely. So even if you have meatier hands, this is going to not give you any marks or hot spots or anything like that, which I found with the Halo. They gave me a hot spot on the thumb. This fixes that. Fantastic. Okay, going from fit into materials. We have, again, this, like I was just saying, a large ride knit panel here. So this is their extremely breathable and flexible stretch. In front of that, we have the the biggest ventilation zone, which is their matrix mesh. It's backed up with a little foam or liner behind it for comfort, so you don't get the mesh directly on your fingers. It's a little bit scratchy and gives you some nice padding. You have their latest knuckle design shared with the GP Tech and the other kind of new summer lineup of gloves. This is extremely comfortable. It has a lot of foam padding behind it. It doesn't constrict you at all. It's an excellent, excellent design for a knuckle. Going down the fingers, you have a leather finger bridge to try to mitigate some pinky hyperextension. That's a long-time Alpinestars thing. You have more leather at the fingers here for impact. You have some accordion stretch leather. And then what I think is the exact same polyester laminate they've been using in the whole suit, right here at the fingertips. Between the fingers, you have a thinner, a little bit, I can't tell if it's stretchy, to be honest. It's a little bit hard. I think it might be a little bit stretchy. But a thinner fabric. You have a goat leather palm. You have stretch right here, which is really nice. This is a feature of this whole lineup of sibling gloves, short cuff gloves. It allows a little bit of airflow through, but really it's there so that you don't have it, depending on, again, it doesn't matter how big your hand is within that size, it's going to fit you, and then you're not going to have any binding. It's right in a pinch zone. Really good design. You have a little bit of this Kevlar, just like the Halo, with some padding behind it. And then you have an extremely slimline cuff made of that same polyester laminate again. I'm going to talk a little bit about comfort and then kind of go into the waterproof layer. Comfort perspective. So this is a hot weather glove, hot weather adventure glove, right? Multi-temperature, maybe even multi-season. But I think really the goal here is, hey, you're going to be traveling on mainly hot days, but maybe cold mornings, hot days, or rainy mornings, or whatever, variable weather, but with an emphasis on ventilation. And I think that's where this specific glove falls down. Despite the large mesh backhand and the ride knit, that is the only ventilation, well, and this, that you get. You don't have airflow through your finger bridge area. You do not have airflow through any of the fingertips. The Halo offered airflow through all of that. And when you're on the controls, especially with Barkbusters living in front of you, you're not going to get a whole lot of airflow to the top of your hand. So from an adventure touring perspective, I found myself getting very warm with these gloves on and very sweaty once it got above about 80 to 85 degrees Fahrenheit. Anything below that, it was fine. Anything, honestly, around 70, sort of getting a little chilly on the backhand. I run a little cold right now. But that's kind of a small sweet spot. So from my perspective, especially in a more humid environment, these aren't as good as the Halo. However, what they do offer is the waterproof. So this is an extremely, get some air out of the fingers, extremely small waterproof layer. Like you can pack both of these away anywhere, in your pocket, in a rabbit pouch, in a tank bag. So that's brilliant. These are probably some of the smallest overtops you can get, and they're designed specifically to match with the gloves, so you don't have any sloppiness. So when you get these on, which is a little bit difficult over the knuckles, this does stretch a little bit on the back, on the top side, which helps. But you get these on. The slimline cuff is going to go under your jacket, obviously made for the AMT. This is going to go over top of the sleeve, and then if you're using AMT waterproof, that can go over top again, and then you've got a good weather seal. Or you could always run this over top of, you could run this over top of a small waterproof jacket as well, depending on your personal preference. And what you get now is a great glove for those cold mornings, rainy days, what have you, for touring. I think it's a brilliant design because it fits so nicely. It has this really tacky kind of laminate on the palm. The feeling on the controls is actually not bad at all. It's much better than the old style of Gore-Tex glove where it was, a insert that was just kind of sewn in there and you could pull it out with you if you pulled your hands out if they were sweaty. This is better than that. Not quite as good as GoreGrip, the Gore Extra Fit, the newer semi-bonded membrane, but very close. And for an all-in-one that packs away so easily, I think that's brilliant. A little bit about this, it's using H-Dry, which is a newer laminate out of Italy. The top, again, has a little bit of stretch, so it's not going to affect your dexterity too much. The bottom does use a fairly durable polyester. Again, I think it's the same as the pants use for the whole thing. So even if you're riding in the mud and you have some offs, you should not tear directly through this without trying a bit. And then you've got, more of this film, which I think actually this might be what they use in the Andes and some of their other suits as a brush layer. But you've got that in the palm and then as grip. And again, when I was riding today, I did get really sweaty very quickly. Once it got over about 75, I was pulling this bag off. But when it's a little bit cold, I think this is great. It's a great wind barrier and it helps. And the controls felt great, both standing and sitting on gravel and on pavement. Talking a little bit about safety. So you have, again, a nice leather construction. You have reinforcement here. You have this Kevlar with a good bit of padding behind it. I will harp on this in every single glove review. If it doesn't have it, it has no scaphoid protection. I like scaphoid protection. You can shatter your scaphoid bones extremely easily falling down the stairs. They break all the time. If you come off a bike and hit right there, you can break your scaphoid. So having padding or ideally a slider, like the Nox stuff there, is best. Enough about that. You've got, again, the really good knuckle protection that's completely inobtrusive, good materials. However, Alpinestars originally advertised these as being a level 2 certified glove. Probably the first mesh level 2 certified glove on the market. The ones that I was able to source from a Italian vendor, very reputable vendor, these are genuine Alpinestars products, are level 1. The site has been updated to reflect this leather Alpinestars site versus an entire thing of Kevlar. So Not entirely sure what's going on, if they had production issues, material sourcing issues. These are from China. COVID has been hammering Chinese factories. So I'm not entirely sure what the issue is, but most vendors are still listing these as a level 2 product. As far as I know, what has showed up in Europe to date to sell, at least online, is a level 1 glove. So if you were buying this because you're like, ooh, it's level 2, you may or may not get that. I'm not, at least as of September, this is what's selling as a level 1. Very quick comparison. So what Alpinestars has tried to do here is mitigate the need to bring a separate glove with you for those changing days. If it may be raining as you're touring from one state to another or one country to another, normally you'd maybe bring a waterproof glove and a mesh glove. Well, they said, well, you don't need to. You can bring this super small thing. And just to kind of compare, this is a 5 GoreGrip glove. And it is a long gauntlet, it's not a short one, but if you're going to fold this up and put it in luggage, it's going to take up probably double the room of this. You have to buy it. Gore stuff, like stuff that's genuinely waterproof, is not cheap. So from a price and minimalism perspective, this is a great combo compared to one mesh and one good Gore-Tex glove. So final thoughts really quick. Again, you can probably tell I love the combo. I think it's brilliant. I think they've done an excellent execution on the overglove. I think they've really missed on the ventilation without having perforation and some sort of fourchette ventilation area. I think the thumb is the best I've had in any glove ever. The cuff's a little hard to get on, but they did that on purpose to be super low profile, so fair enough. And I wish it had escape weight sliders. That's my other thing. However, I think this informs me that I will be buying the Morph Street Glove, which is very similar, is deeply back ordered, but uses the same thumb, same general ideas, with slightly different fabrics and more ventilation. So in general, I think Alpinestars' new short cuff glove design is brilliant, with some execution issues along the way.